Hey there, teacher friends. This is Bill MacDonald, the ER doctor. We're going to call ER the editing and reading emergency room. Now that all teachers who teach reading from 3rd through 10th grade are going to be responsible for reading and editing, revising, and a little bit of extended responses, then I want to make sure that those of us who only have been teaching writing know how to transition, or what I sometimes call transmission, move from exclusively writing teachers to be able to merge those two worlds. And I thought I would challenge myself not with the easiest questions from the 2019 tests from 3rd through 10th grade, but I wanted to look at the most difficult question in each grade level, start from there, and kind of show you some strategies using my READ-Vising Graphic Organizer and at times my editing graphic organizer and my extended response. It's all in one folder, and you get a class set of those in a teacher training or in a webinar. So I look forward to seeing or hearing from some of you soon. Hopefully we can get together and do some in-person trainings, especially with your students, because I feel like that's where I'm able to make the most impact, where you can see that everything is content specific, that is applicable, practical, and student friendly. Let's go ahead and take a look. What we're going to look at today is the most difficult question on the 2019 third grade test. And uh, a lot of times students have a very difficult time learning the difference between summary, meaning all of it, everything, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. That also means I love you. Or some of it, just a part of it, a section of it, a paragraph or a few paragraphs, or just a certain selection of an entire passage. So we have to learn what those words mean, because I can tell that the reason that the students missed this question, almost half of the students missed the question that we're going to look at today because they didn't pay attention to one word in the sentence, but we're going to call the question without a question mark. And we can play around the words in 80 ways. We're going to change a statement to a question so we can see exactly what they were asking our students and why did they have so much trouble. So I clicked on share screen. I'm going to click on advanced. I'm using Zoom, content from a second camera. And so I have my document camera turned on, and this is number 14 from the third grade reading test from 2019. Okay. Uh, it was a third grade readiness, a fourth grade supporting standard. It was 3.3A, the TEAC number. All right. So rules stands for read the question and the section that they're asking about. We're going to underline and label as we go. We're going to evaluate and execute our strategies. Then we'll start eliminating and explaining our wrong answers. Then we'll select one answer and show why it's correct. And then we'll either bubble our Scantron or submit our selection in the computer. All right. So the question, and people always ask me, should I read the passage or the question? In math, should I read the problem or the question? I always feel like if your students will read the question first, they'll realize that they're not going to have to read the entire passage to answer a lot of the questions. They're only going to have to, in question 14, read one section. Okay? Now, I want you to notice the correct answer here is letter F, and only 32% of the kids in Texas in third grade got it correct. That means kids moving to fourth grade didn't really understand what the word section meant as opposed to the word paragraph. So the question says, capital, the section titled, quotation marks up there, capital stories, to capital read and capital enjoy, closing quotations. So we have opening and closing quotations before and after we talk, and before and after a title. And so what we were doing there was practicing speaking, verbalizing the capitalization, and uh, doing a cap, kinesthetically pretending to put on a cap, is mostly about what? So that little hyphen there means what? So if I was to reorganize the words, I would say capital, what is the section titled quotation marks capital stories to capital read and capital enjoy, closing quotations, mostly about question mark. And when I ask a question, I'm going to bounce an imaginary ball on the floor. Our stop sign is red at the end if we're going to ask a question. Okay? So since they said section, we're going to look at the passage and see what does that mean. Okay? So real quick, let me show you my graphic organizer. Uh, when you're teaching writing, a central idea statement is what the entire passage is about. In seventh grade, the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh would call it a controlling idea statement, what in the entire thing. Eighth and ninth grade would call it a thesis statement, and 10th grade would call it a position. Everybody would call it a focus. What is the focus of this passage? The beginning, the middle, the end, the introduction, the body, conclusion. What is the summary, all of it? Or what is the summary, just some of it? And since they said a section, we've got to find out which section. And when I checked the section that they talked about, it was paragraphs 5, 6, and 7. And it was called plural, capital stories, plural, not singular, to capital read and capital enjoy, name of a book. And so if your kids can capitalize and then tell you the rule, that will help them understand and practice editing as well. So in paragraph 5, I'm not going to read, I'm going to show you that I labeled them. So here's how I suggest that you do it. Because it said section, capital stories to capital read and capital enjoy, since it started in paragraph 5, I'm going to draw an arrow until I get to another section that has a different title. So if we go to the next page, we'll see, oh, there it is. It continues all the way down here where here's another section which has another title. And so what happened was most of your kids, half of your kids who got this question wrong, only read paragraph 5, and they asked them to read a section. And so the section has paragraphs 5, 6, and 7. And I've already read and underlined and kind of labeled a lot of the important things. And so here's what some of you might call hashtagging. And so I'm going to only use 3 fingers of a hand because they only asked for 3 paragraphs. The one section that was called Stories to Read and Enjoy. In paragraph 5, they talk about a book, singular, called The Pokey Little Puppy. And it's stories that are still in print, and there's 15 million copies made, more than any other book that has been done by this company. Okay. Paragraph 6, Two Little Miners. That was kinesthetic because I wasn't saying capital this time. So you can say capital two, capital little, capital minors. That would be verbal. You could go two little minors. That would be kinesthetic. Or you could say capital two, capital little, capital minors. The other book was called Here Comes the Parade. And I'm only going to put on my cap on the capitals. And the other book in that paragraph was called Capital Doctor, Capital Dan, and it had a subtitle called The Bandage Man. And we find out in this paragraph that this book comes with some bandages so your kids can practice putting on band-aids. Paragraph 7, lots of books, and they also comes with records. And so that's what the paragraph is about, and it talks about how the kids can hear and listen and be able to follow along. Now, if I don't know how to read yet, well, I'm going to be able to hear sentences, and that's what's very important about reading softly or loudly, is because if your brain just takes pictures, you might see what sentences look like, but unless we start reading out loud or listening, we won't know what sentences that are complete with subjects and predicates sound like. So we have to teach kids how to hear and listen, and eventually they'll be able to follow along with their pencil. They can do what they call tracking. So that's what these sections are about. So we're going to have to pick the letter choice that matches most of these fingers. So let's take a look at letter F. The topics of some little golden books, and so two things, what some of the books came with. Paragraphs 5 and 6 talk about topics. Okay. And paragraphs 6 and 7 talk about what some of the books came with. So, as you notice, two, two paragraphs talk about the first part of it, and 2 paragraphs talk about the second part. That's the most so far, but only 32% of the kids realized that they had to read 3 paragraphs to get to an entire section, not just one. Letter G, the most popular little golden books, and only paragraph 5 talked about one book. And so when it said popular as in books and how to listen to them, well, the popular book was on paragraph 5. How to listen to them was only paragraph 7. So this one doesn't even mention paragraph 6. You really can't include one that doesn't have one of the paragraphs uh, mentioned at all. Letter H. And so what we would be doing would be putting a question mark if we think we're going to pick it, and we're going to put, and as you can see here, not as many kids picked this one, but it was pretty close, I will say, because they saw this in 1 paragraph, and they saw some books in 2 paragraphs. They had to remember that most popular was what they were talking about, just not the little golden books. Only one of the books was the mentioned as the most popular one, that first one in paragraph 5. Letter H, the number of little golden books printed, only in paragraph 5, the whatever million that was, let me see, that was 15 million books, um, only about paragraph 5, and which ones are still available. Being still available, that was only mentioned in paragraph 5, and 20% of the kids in Texas picked it. And so if they only read paragraph 5, thinking that section 5, 6, and 7 was only paragraph 5, then they would get it wrong. So they have to realize that a section is usually a plural number of paragraphs. Letter J, a little golden book that is still printed today. Oh, that one is only number 5, and why it is so popular, that's only number 5. So 2 answers that only talk about paragraph 5, and most of the kids that got it wrong chose this answer. And so you can tell that they thought that they were reading a paragraph, not a section. And so that's why I think that the graphic organizer is going to come in so handy, because get it handy on the real test, they won't be able to use the graphic organizer that I provide you at the trainings, but they will be able to remember these yellow words that are about some of the passage or all of the passage. So we've done the process of elimination, and so we think that these 2 are wrong because they're only talking about paragraph 5. And so 49% of the kids, 20% plus 29 is 49%, almost half of the kids only read 1 paragraph and thought that's what the section stories to read and enjoy. So I really suggest that you draw those little arrows. And so we're going to select letter F. We'll put a little F to the side because some kids are so careless with bubbling. We'll go ahead and practice bubbling because we still have another year where we're going to be transitioning over to computer responses. And then right next to 14, you can say whatever answer that I pick in the book, number 14 will be letter F. And so it would be 14F in the Scantron or 14F in the submission in my computer. So there you have it. How to differentiate between a section, some of a passage, and a paragraph, just one paragraph, a thumb or a finger or a middle finger or a ring finger, just one paragraph. And so practice differentiating with your kids the difference between a section, a paragraph, paragraphs, a summary meaning all of it, summary meaning some of it. Thank you guys. Please share this with some of your teacher friends that are needing some reading strategies. Uh, this is specifically for 3rd and 4th grade teachers, but if you have some 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students that are functioning at a 3rd or 4th grade ability level, this would come in handy for them. So be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're not already doing so. And please share or tag one of your reading teacher friends so that they can get some strategies for their classroom as well. God bless you guys and have a nice day.